Ebola Scare, How to Contain Misinformation on Social Media. We talked to the author of a new book about our online habits. Also, 3 social networks to make you forget Facebook. Well, maybe. I'm Afan Chaudhry. Welcome to Globe Now. There is an Ebola crisis unfolding in West Africa, but if you look at recent activity, you'd think that the crisis is already hitting the U.S. and is poised to break out here in Canada as well. Nearly 2/3 of Americans are worried about an Ebola epidemic. That's according to a recent Washington Post ABC News poll. Fear is a factor, and misinformation on social media can often be the fuel. Well, to talk about online behavior during such crises, we're joined by Alfred, the author of Tell Everyone Why We Share and Why It Matters. Thanks for coming in.
It's a pleasure.
So if you look at some of the stuff that is being said online, Ebola is spreading in places it actually isn't, and it can be transmitted through the air, food, and water. Why is it so hard to combat misinformation?
Well, people are trying to make sense of what's actually a very complicated story.
Right.
This is something that's coming out of West Africa. There have been a handful of cases in the West. One person has died in the US, one person's infected. But there's always the fear, well, what if there are other cases we don't know about it? And what people are trying to do is make sense of this information. They turn on the news, they get headline news that somebody has died in the US, and they're going to react to that.
How much of it do you think comes down to how people are consuming news nowadays and where they find bits of information?
I think what you're seeing is most people go to lots of different news sources, and social media is one of them. When people get their news on somewhere like Facebook, they don't tend to look for news on Facebook. They're just doing something else, catching up with what their friends are doing, and then they see a headline here, a headline there. And if you see a headline, somebody's died from Ebola and it's in the States, your reaction might be, oh my God, Ebola is in the States. Is it going to affect my children? Should I be careful? Should I go to the doctor because I'm feeling a little bit feverish? You know, you're trying to make sense of something where you have very limited information, and social media can both help and hinder.
Ebola has been unfolding in West Africa, but it's only when there are 2 cases and 1 death in the United States that we see a spike in social media. Why do you think that is?
The media is to blame for that because while this is happening in West Africa, it's in the inside pages, it's not perhaps making the same headline news. But of course, as soon as it becomes a big headline and all you see on the news is as soon as you tune in or pick up your paper is Ebola is here, people are going to react. There's going to be this spike in activity because they're going to be scared that potentially it is in their hometown. So in a way, the media bears some of the blame because we're focusing on what's happening in the West rather than the more extreme situation in West Africa.
How do you think social media can be used for good when it comes to, say, this example of Ebola?
I think what you see here is people trying to sort of participate in the discussion. And in a sense, as I write in my book, they're distant witnesses. They're not really involved in the story, but they feel it's something that they want to contribute to.
I mean, we've seen so many social media campaigns meant to elicit a reaction and get people to act. The Ice Bucket Challenge raised tons of money. I mean, why do some campaigns work and others don't?
Well, when we share stuff, we're trying to define ourselves. We're trying to say a sense of belonging of who we are. So the Ice Bucket Challenge appeals to our sense of this is a worthy cause, I am doing something that's going to make a difference, I'm raising money, and my friends are going to think this is something good, that I'm actually taking a positive action to change the world.
Do you think there could be a similar social media campaign, or do you think there is a similar social media campaign when it comes to Ebola?
Well, it's difficult to say what you personally could do to combat Ebola. So the Ice Bucket Challenge, the beauty there that it was a very simple action you had to take. Ebola, even the Bring Back Our Girls campaign with Nigeria, these are really complex international issues. So in a sense, as an individual, you don't really have the same amount of power to make a difference. So when it comes to then sharing it on social media, you might go, well, if I tweet about it, if I like something, am I really making a difference? With the Ice Bucket Challenge, you could say, look, I have done something and raised some money for a worthy cause.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Alfred.
My pleasure.
Well, we want to hear from you. What role does social media play when you're seeking out information on Ebola and other crises? And do you challenge people who spread misinformation? Tweet us at Globe Now. Also, be sure to check out our 6 Facts About Ebola video, which you can watch on our site. Staying with social media and the urge to share vacation pictures, cute animals, and that awesome meal. Facebook is often where people do it, but there are other players who want you to share. The Globe's technology editor, Shane Dingman, looks at why privacy may be the future of social networks.
It seems like every other day somebody launches a new social network. Some are built on photo sharing, some on anonymity, some are on privacy, some are on elegant design, and some are not even really social networks at all. There are 2 urges at play here. Many of the creators of these sites would love to find the next Facebook killer and make billions of dollars doing it. And there are just as many tech investors who would love to make 10 or 100 times a return on their investment to fund the person who does that. The other pressure on Facebook and Twitter comes from below, from their users. These networks and their uses tend to become known quantities. Our relationships with them calcify, and we start to get the itch for something new. Take something like Elo, which has been described as an anti-Facebook because it says it won't collect your data. But as some smart folks have noted, it also doesn't have the like button, the share system, and it doesn't reward pithiness or reward people who try to game the system for popularity. On the other hand, the vast majority of the activity on Snapchat now comes from a feature called Stories, which still lets you do all of that look at me friend collecting stuff, but by making it time limited, it amps up the urgency of all that sharing. Then there's the fashionably retro site Tilde Club, which couldn't even really be called a social network. But it is a fascination of the tech literati, because it harkens back to an earlier time when a community on the web, like say GeoCities, was largely about coding and making stuff, and not just commenting on other people's cat pictures. Social networks are now evolving at the speed of mobile, and that means that phones are getting replaced every 2 years, and people are always hitting refresh, refresh, refresh on everything. Apps that were ruling the world 3 years ago, and yes, we are looking at you, Angry Birds, are now laughable shells of themselves. Right now, it seems that the future of social networks are going to be those sites that are a little bit more quiet, that are a little more personal, a little bit less crowded. It sounds a lot like Google+.
Well, that's all for today's show. If you've got a moment, hop onto Twitter. Thinking of giving up Facebook for one of these other social networks? Tweet us at Globe Now. I'm Afan Chaudhry. Thanks for watching.